Jai Shri Ram. So let's look at GRE essay topic. There are several topics, perhaps some 300 are there, out of which one will be thrown at you. You will be given 30 minutes to write an essay on that, and you have to obviously apply your analytical thinking ability. And if you do not do that, then you will get a low score. So in IELTS and TOEFL, you are simply required to show your proficiency in English, whereas in GRE or GMAT, you are expected to apply some analytical thinking. Therefore, if you fail to do that, you will get a low score, even if your English is very good. Actually, the criteria for assessment can be summed up in 5 letters: GODAV. Adoka Godava. G means grammar. Obviously, your sentences should be grammatically correct. O ante organized response, which means you must have a clear introduction and a clear conclusion. There must be a body of response running into 4 or 5 paragraphs. So totally about 6 or 7 paragraphs. The more you write, the better it is anyway. D is details. Details means examples and reasons in every paragraph. And now GO, organized response, can also include, you see, the idea that each paragraph should deal with one idea only, in which you should have this framework in mind. Each paragraph should follow the framework of what I would call the PREP formula. P means the point, R is reasons, E are examples, and P means the point again. Which means if you are writing a paragraph, I'll give you an example, it should be something like this. Now let us examine the idea that honesty is the best policy. Now you start giving reasons why honesty is the best policy. Well, honesty is obviously the best policy, or in fact, it is not a mere policy, it is a principle on which we should live our lives. Because if we are dishonest, we will be called out someday or the other, and our reputation will be at stake, and other damages will also follow, other repercussions will also follow. So, it is never smart, never ethically correct to be dishonest in any dealing. Unless, of course, the other person is himself a crook and you have to deal with a crook. Perhaps in that extreme situation you are justified. Otherwise, one should always be honest as a principle. It is not a mere policy. ఇప్పుడు నేను రీజన్స్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఇచ్చాను. Example, let us take the case of many successful people in the history of the world. You will find that people who came up the hard way and honestly are glorified as role models even today, while the others are treated as criminals and they are consigned to the dustbin of history. అందుకని ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఇచ్చేసావు. సో అబ్రహాం లింకన్ అనే ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒకటి చెప్తావు, జీసస్ క్రైస్ట్ అని చెప్తావు, వాడు హ్యాపీగా అయిపోతాడు, క్రిస్టియన్ పాయింట్లు పడతాయి. సో ఇలాగా తర్వాత, సో ఇన్ ద లైట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ద రీజన్స్ అండ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ we must understand that honesty is not merely a policy, it is the principle on which one must live one's life. సో పిఆర్ఈపి ఫార్ములాని నువ్వు ఫాలో చేసినట్టు. అంటే పారాగ్రాఫ్ని కూడా ఒక స్ట్రక్చర్ ప్రకారం రాస్తే పాయింట్లు పడతాయి. సో GOD చెప్పాను. ఏ అంటే అడ్రస్సింగ్ ద టాపిక్. అడ్రస్సింగ్ ద టాపిక్, దట్ మీన్స్ వాడు అడిగిన టాపిక్ మీద రాస్తున్నావా, నువ్వేదో ఊహించుకుని ఇష్టం వచ్చినట్టు రాసావంటే మొత్తం కొట్టి పారేస్తాడు. దిస్ ఇస్ అ ప్రాబ్లమ్ దట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ that has happened to all of us in school and college. So in our excitement we ended up writing a lot, but the teacher would have called you and said, what was the question and what were you writing here? So don't let that happen to you in the GRE exam. Spend some time trying to understand exactly what's being said. And V is for vocabulary. So make sure that you have at least 10 big words which you know thoroughly, and make sure that you write a few sentences with these words, and they should blend in very nicely. Otherwise they will stick out like sore thumbs, and then you will lose points. So this is how your GODAV, grammar, organized response, which means a clear introduction and a conclusion with a body of response running into 4 paragraphs, in which 2 or 3 you will write in support of the topic, and 2 you will show the contrary or the contradictory points, and then you will resolve it in the conclusion. So G is grammar, O is organized response, and under organized response I told you 2 things. One is the overall response should follow a format, and every paragraph should follow the format which I told you is PREP, point, reason, example, and point. D is for details, which means reasons and examples. A is addressing the topic, and V is vocabulary. So if you follow this GODAV formula, you should get a good score which means anything above 4 and perhaps 5 out of 6 grade points. Okay, now let's look at the topic. All students should be required to take a course in ethics, even if that means a reduced emphasis on other academic subjects. Now, this on ethics, there are several issue topics. So, now if you were to write an essay on this, in case if I were to write my opening sentence in my introduction, my introduction will follow a simple format. The speaker ఇలా అంటున్నాడు, ఇలా అనుకుంటున్నాడు, ఇలా అంటున్నాడు, ఇది అంత బాగాలేదు, ఎందుకంటే ఎన్నో డైమెన్షన్స్ మనం ఎక్స్ప్లోర్ చేయాలి, అండ్ నా రెస్పాన్స్లో నేను ఈ రీజన్స్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ ఇస్తున్నాను. This will be my introduction. The speaker states that students should be required to take a course in ethics, even if there is a reduced emphasis on other subjects. Full stop. The speaker assumes that ethics is perhaps more important than anything else, and therefore he takes this stance. Full stop. The topic is not so simple and direct, and there are many dimensions. Therefore, I would not fully endorse what the speaker says అని చెప్పి నేను అలాగే స్టార్ట్ చేస్తా. Or I fully agree with the speaker, because today in the world you see so much crime and terrorism rampant across the globe, and entire nations are suffering because of this increase in crime, and therefore all this increase can be attributed to the erosion of ethical values in society. అలా మొదలుపెట్టి I can complete my introduction. తర్వాత second paragraph introduction తర్వాత, now let us examine one of the biggest problems in the world today. All over the world you will find that terror and terrorism is stalking the entire globe, and entire nations are suffering because of this. Full stop. This is clearly because people have lost their ethical foundations and their capacity to think rationally and understand what true morality is all about. Therefore, if students are given courses in ethics where they are required to explore ethical dilemmas, then we can hope to have a better society, and that will perhaps at least, if not eliminate, reduce the amount of crime and terror and terrorism all over the world. ఇలా రాసుకుంటూ వస్తాం. So second paragraphలో, there are other ways which also must be explored in order to instill ethics in students అని చెప్పి ఇంకోటి ఏదో డిబేట్లు, సెమినార్లు, సింపోజియంలు పెట్టాలి. ఆ తర్వాత స్టూడెంట్స్ షుడ్ బి టేకెన్ ఆన్ టూర్స్ టు taken on tours to see the plight of people who are suffering, and perhaps then they will be moved to act in support of eliminating terror and crime all over the world. అంటే జనాల్ని, పిల్లల్ని, ఇదిగో చూడరా ఇలా ఉంటున్నారు దరిద్రులు, ఒక్కొక్కడు 100 మంది పిల్లల్ని పెట్టేస్తున్నాడు, అథవా వాడికి తినడానికి గతి లేదు దరిద్రుడు, ఏదో రిలీజన్ పట్టుకొని. అంటే ఇప్పుడు డైరెక్ట్గా మనం రిలీజన్ గురించి ఎక్కడ చెప్పకూడదు, అలా చెప్పలేం కాబట్టి కొన్ని పాయింట్స్ చెప్పచ్చు. అంటే ఎథికల్ ఫౌండేషన్ లేకపోవడం వలన వీళ్ళు క్రిమినల్ డాగ్మాస్ని ఫాలో అవుతున్నారు. దాంతో వాళ్లే కాదు, మొత్తం ప్రపంచం బాధపడుతోంది. ఇవన్నీ రాసుకుంటూ వచ్చి, అంటే యు ఆర్ సజెస్టింగ్ డిఫరెంట్ వేస్ ఇన్ విచ్ ఎథిక్స్ ఆ కోర్సు ఉండాలి. ఆ కోర్సులో ఏం చేయాలి అది కూడా చెప్పేస్తున్నాం ఇక్కడ. ఆ తర్వాత ఇంకో పారాగ్రాఫ్లో, however, we will also notice that in spite of the courses being conducted, it may be possible that we are living in a society so steeped in corruption and unethical behavior that the courses may not have any real time effect, and people perhaps will become unethical because otherwise it is impossible to survive in such a society. Therefore, here the point is conducting courses in universities and colleges is like applying lipstick on a pig, and it's not going to work. I mean, that's my analogy. So అంటే ఏం చెప్తున్నాం అంటే, in other words, you are trying to say this has only a cosmetic value. simply conducting course. In other words, if a person gets a high score in the subject of ethics, there is no guarantee that he will end up being an ethically upright person. He might end up being the most corrupt person, because the industry and society itself is so very corrupt. Therefore, the mere presence of having courses in universities does not really guarantee. But however, we must make such efforts అని చెప్పుకుంటూ నా ఇంకో పారాగ్రాఫ్ ఇట్లాగా కన్క్లూజన్కి వచ్చినప్పుడు యూ విల్ సమ్ అప్. ఆన్ ద హోల్, the idea is definitely worth experimenting on, and if not compulsory, at least courses in ethics should be made optional, and professors should make every effort to encourage students to take them, so that they get a broader understanding and we have a better society to live in worldwide. ఇలా ఏదో బాధాలి. జై శ్రీరామ్.